thunk it. James Buster Douglas. That is right, folks. We are not kidding. James Buster Douglas with a devastating right uppercut. He followed that with a left cross and sent Tyson reeling in the 10th round. James Buster Douglas beats Mike Tyson.
I did it for my mother. I did it for my team. I did it for my John Johnson, Jalen Collins, John Russell, my son. You know, my dad. Woo. That's good. My dad. Man, I really feel good, man.
And I'm the #1 contender, and Tyson had a chance and he lost, and I feel that it's only right for me to get my opportunity.
Don King, the fight promoter, has filed a formal protest claiming that the knockdown of Buster Douglas in the 8th round by Tyson, Douglas benefited, according to King, of a long count.
And I think it's just bogus, you know. I mean, to be a champion is one thing, but to honor that championship and accept defeat as well as victory is another. And I don't think he's accepting defeat at all.
Our withdrawal of the protest, that leaves Buster Douglas in an optional position to do what he wants to do.
As far as I'm concerned, Evander Holyfield is my first
in June, and that, you know, because June has been my target day, and, you know, I haven't fought in a while.
Happy with the outcome, and I think Don King is too.
I feel that I earned the money because I've proven it through amateur, and I came in pro. I beat everybody they put before me.
Cakewalks.
Well,
you know, he didn't fight anybody.
Well, it's the same just as you. I guess they'll be saying you're a cakewalk when I beat you. Deep down inside, I believe I can make Buster quit.
There's no way that he's going to walk into my fortress and make me surrender without due battle. I'm talking about a serious battle.
Tonight, two heavyweight high rollers have come to Las Vegas with hopes of cashing in on boxing's most prestigious prize. Coming up, the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship on this special presentation of Showtime Championship Boxing. Welcome to the Mirage Arena at the Mirage Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is the site of the battle for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. It is a beautiful autumn evening in Las Vegas. The temperature 79 degrees. Upwards of 16,000 people are expected. Hello again, everybody. I'm Steve Albert, and welcome to another edition of Showtime Championship Boxing. Well, the long wait is finally over. It is here, the moment of truth. The undisputed heavyweight championship of the world, featuring the champion James Buster Douglas against the challenger #1 rated heavyweight contender Evander Holyfield. It is almost like the World Series and the Super Bowl all rolled into one. Without question, one of the most coveted possessions in all of sports. There is really nothing quite like it, and we are looking forward to a most exciting night. Earlier tonight, the challenger, Evander Holyfield, the first to arrive here at the Mirage Hotel, looking very serious, surrounded by his entourage, people like Tim Hallmark and Ronnie Shields, an arrival he has been dreaming about since he first put on a pair of boxing gloves at the age of 8 when he entered the Pee Wee tournament in Atlanta, which of course he won. Just a little more at stake tonight as he makes his way to the fight of his life. And just a little later, the champ, James Buster Douglas, arriving by limo at the Mirage to chants of Buster's the boss. The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, defending his title for the first time, but taking a lot of heat after tipping the scales at 246 yesterday. Regardless, win or lose, Douglas is walking or perhaps snacking his way towards a $24 million paycheck. And the champion is the underdog, his weight contributing heavily, if you'll pardon the expression. Then again, he was a 42-to-1 shot to beat Mike Tyson. We all know what happened there, although he weighed 15 pounds less. Right now, it is my pleasure to bring in my broadcast partner for tonight, the noted boxing analyst, Al Bernstein. And Al, I don't think we've ever met a fighter who didn't have something to prove, and tonight is no exception.
Yeah, and astonishingly, it's no exception tonight. Here's two men who shouldn't have anything to prove. James Buster Douglas, after all, just got through beating Mike Tyson, one of the most dominant heavyweights in the last 20 years. Some people still thinking, however, that that's a fluke. I don't think it was. Evander Holyfield, who has beaten 2 former champions as a heavyweight and beaten 3 men who were ranked in the top 10 in the heavyweight division. Some people are still saying, is he a true heavyweight? I think he is. I think both these men are terrific boxers, and I think they'll create one of the most exciting heavyweight championship matches in the last 15 years.
And of course, Buster Douglas's waistline, a hot topic of conversation, checking it at 246. Some people say that will affect him. Some say it won't. What do you think?
Well, I think it has to affect him. His average weight that he's fought at in the last 3 years is 232 pounds, and that's not an accident. That's where he fights the best. He was 231 when he beat Mike Tyson. I think Buster Douglas just simply didn't train hard enough, and the 246 is a reflection of that. It could be a big problem for him, especially if Holyfield takes this fight into the later rounds.
I find it baffling that his camp didn't monitor his weight.
It's astonishing. They actually contend that it didn't matter to them, that they were unconcerned about it. Their feeling is he trained, he's ready, but I don't know. The 246 pounds is a bad way to go into this fight for Douglas.
All right, Al, on that note, let's bring in the other member of our broadcast team. He'll be roaming the stands and providing interesting sidelights and interviews with celebrities. So let's hook up right now with Mike Leonard. Mike?
Thanks, Steve. A roaming reporter doesn't have to roam very far to find celebrities at a boxing match, because here, just a few feet from the ring, is where they sit, at $1,000 a ticket.
These seats up close are $1,000. Are they worth it?
They are? Well, I tell you what, we better get out of here, Clint. No, they don't. There was no peanuts. There were no free hot. What else do we get?
Is there anything like a heavyweight championship fight?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's, you know, man to man, and it's man in his most raw form, you know.
I think I've been to every major fight in the last 5 years, except the one in Tokyo.
You know, it's amazing how much more exciting a heavyweight match will be compared to a welterweight or a middleweight. I don't know what the reasoning for that. I guess it goes back to the beginning of boxing, and it's always been that way. The heavyweight's always been the one that gets all the publicity, and I guess it'll always be that way.
Is it worth it to sit in a $1,000 seat for a fight?
Yeah, it's one of the benefits of our job, you know. So yeah, no, it's worth it.
I think this and the bullfights are similar, and that it takes us back to that period of Roman excess, where they had the Colosseum and they used to throw people on lions, and you know, it was a little more savage than this.
You know, I like all fighting, but somehow when you see heavyweights, you know you're seeing the baddest dudes on earth. You know, they can whip anybody that's walking, and normally at a heavyweight championship fight, the guy that wins is the baddest guy on the planet Earth.
By the way, Steve, all celebrities are not created equal. In other words, the bigger the star, the better the seat.
Thank you, Mike. Now let's take a look at a gentleman who's been seen many times here on Showtime. His journey to a title shot has been a direct route, but not what you'd label a nonstop flight. I'm referring, of course, to Evander Holyfield. The #1 contender on the brink of his life's ambition, honed and cultivated by Team Holyfield.
We're working for Evander. We want him to be champion of the world. He deserves to be champion of the world.
I'll make sure that his heart and lungs and all the endurance aspect of his muscles are ready for him to go the distance.
Okay.
just got this wall around him of muscle, and I'd like to open up the door and let him out. There's a very tight spot right here. Very, very tight. And of course, this being tight affects the whole body. And if you can stretch it out, then he has more freedom up here.
I gave him all the power and knowledge of building stronger muscle.
4, 5, 3 more, baby. 6, wrong 7. 7, 1 more. Get 8.
My job is to arrange his fights, negotiate the terms, and also market Evander Holyfield to the public.
And I want to introduce to you a guy who not only is a great fighter, but a great gentleman, Evander Holyfield.
Once I'm in the ring, I got to prove it. I got to prove that it's all worth the while. And I know that all this waiting and being patient all depends on how you make the best of the opportunity.
Holyfield's countdown to the heavyweight championship began in the spotlight of the Olympics. Ironically, it was bronze, not gold, that brought him initial fame. A controversial disqualification for hitting on the break deprived the Atlanta native of his chance at the gold.
I was a member of the 84 team, and it's a big honor for me. And even though I didn't get a chance to win a gold medal or get the opportunity to fight for a gold medal, but I did enjoy it.
Unfazed by his Olympic disappointment, Holyfield embarked on a pro career. He debuted in Madison Square Garden, handily winning a 6-round decision. It seemed Evander was truly the real deal. Holyfield did not have to wait long for his shot at a world title. After only 11 pro fights, the former Olympian challenged white Muhammad Qawi for the WBA junior heavyweight crown. For 15 grueling rounds, Holyfield was cheered on by his hometown fans. When the final bell sounded, he was ready for the coronation.
For the winner, and new junior Evander Holyfield!
My first goal was to be a world champion, which I didn't know was I was going to be the world champion light heavyweight division or the cruiserweight or heavyweight.
Evander was the first of his Olympic class to win a world title. Within 2 years, he unified the division. With no cruiserweights left to conquer, set his sights on the world heavyweight champion.
Holyfield ready for Mike Tyson?
He's a good fighter.
Physical conditioning and weight training helped to beef up Holyfield. Boxing's Body Beautiful was now armed to do battle in the heavyweight ranks.
What a punch by Holyfield.
And he followed up with a left and a right and another left. And Tillis is in trouble. Final seconds, round 5. Can he make it to the bell? He hangs in there. It was almost as if Holyfield sensed this time that the bell would sound. And he stopped punching just a second before the bell rang. So 5 rounds complete, and Tillis being rocked. It's all over. The doctor apparently advised Richard Steele, and Steele signaled all over. Evander Holyfield has won his heavyweight debut. He rose through the ranks to become the #1 contender.
Doak's in trouble. Doak's in big trouble.
Michael Doak staggered.
But fighting back. He's terrible shape.
And there he goes into the ropes. Holyfield looks to finish him off. Richard Steele steps in, and Doak's coming towards
contract. He's finally woken up.
Fans are going wild, but down goes Rodriguez out of nowhere. Adelson Rodriguez is on the canvas.
He's not getting up. He hit his head on the canvas, and he's not getting up.
It's all over. Here in the second round, Evander Holyfield has KO'd Adelson Rodriguez.
Now Holyfield's fighting like the #1 contender.
He's really upset. He's fighting angry. Holyfield putting the coat on.
This is vintage Holyfield. Focused, concentrated, looking for his knockout. Too much. The doctor said, dog, it says to us, and that is it. Holyfield has won.
I have beaten everyone I faced, and I've enjoyed myself throughout my whole career. And I did things that I wanted to do, and I fought good opponents that, you know, brought the best out of me.
The time had come for a showdown.
I would love to fight Evander Holyfield. By no means, right now.
We jump through hoops.
Right now, today, tonight, in the ring, out of the ring, anything he wants.
We are hopeful of going to Tokyo, Japan to fight James Buster Douglas if he should beat his opponent on the November 18th card. And from there, you know, is anybody can play. You know, that means it's Evander Holyfield. He's standing right there, and we want Evander Holyfield, and we want to be able to get him sometime in the very near future.
But James Buster Douglas had plans of his own, and Holyfield had to set his sights on a new target.
Evander, let me ask you, are you surprised by the outcome?
Well, not really surprised. I came into this fight with an open mind that I was going to fight the winner of the match, because my goal is to be the heavyweight champion of the world, not just to fight Mike Tyson.
While Douglas spent his summer fighting in the courts, Holyfield confined his battles to the ring. The final countdown had begun. The champion would meet the #1 contender.
Evander Holyfield is the #1 reigning contender. And it's a challenge for James Douglas, a pleasure actually, to put his title up on the line to fight Evander Holyfield.
The road that began in the Los Angeles Sports Arena will end in the desert of Las Vegas.
Through all that time, it gave me an opportunity to develop even more. I feel that I'm better now than I was then, and even though, you know, I was pushing for the fight then, even now it would just be even sweeter.
And there he is, the #1 rated heavyweight contender, Evander Holyfield, in his dressing room. Keep in mind, Holyfield, the challenger, comes in as the favorite. Only the 12th time the challenger has come in as the favorite in a heavyweight championship fight. He started out at better than 2-1 2 months ago. And, you know, it's interesting because career-wise, Evander Holyfield grew up on television. On the other hand, James Buster Douglas grew up in the club fights. But one victory over Mike Tyson, and almost overnight, he's a household name. With that, let's trace the beginnings of the champion, James Buster Douglas. James Buster Douglas, under the guidance of his father, to fight professionally.
I'm fighting professionally because, you know,
It's something. It's not only that I want to achieve, I want to achieve it for him too. Do something that he didn't really get a chance to do. Become heavyweight champ of the world.
Lately, Douglas has been compared with the fictional Rocky. Ironically, his beginnings in Columbus resembled those of the Sylvester Stallone character.
Being involved in something like that brought my credibility down. I was really embarrassed with it.
Unquestionably, Douglas had skills, but he was inconsistent. At times, he showed flashes of greatness. Other times, he would lose his concentration or simply run out of gas against lesser opponents. But those close to Douglas always kept the faith.
Well, James called me on his 24th birthday, which is April the 7th, 1984, and said he would like to talk to me about getting involved with his career.
He brought out the plate and said, at this point, this is what we have, but, and we all put our efforts together, then we can just, make this thing really flourish.
Dissension in the Douglas camp undermined his first attempt at a world title. Soon after this fight, Bill Douglas would no longer be his son's trainer.
It was this thing of all the pressures had gotten to me. Like I said, it was going into the fight wasn't wasn't on the best. Wasn't on the best road rather. And I just did what I could. I got out of what I had, and mentally it was just I produced all I could do. But again, it was a learning experience. It was something that I had refused to just sit back and just accept and go on like, well, that's as far as I could go in that. I knew it was more for me. And it just made the desire, the fire burn even fiercer.
By the time Douglas got a chance at the crown, it was unified and sitting on the head of Mike Tyson. Most regarded this fight as a tune-up for the champion. With the odds stacked against him, Douglas suffered his biggest loss.
She went in her sleep, and it wasn't a painful thing. Sure, it's hard, but I know she's looking down on me, wanting me to continue to do what I have to do, and that's basically how I'm thinking of it, and I believe that.
The loss of his mother seemed to be a divine inspiration.
All the problems that were coming on me at one time, it was like, I know something's going to happen because all these things, it's just too much at one time.
The challenger, James Buster Douglas. Iron Mike Tyson.
I wasn't going to be absorbed by the aura of this invincibility. I come to fight. I was in control. I overstepped my boundaries, I think. Got caught in a bad position. I was surprised, like startled, focused, still focused. I just picked up the count and got back up and did my thing. I knew he was going to come over, that's the fighter in him was going to come over and go after me. And I was just ready for it. Showing that, I wasn't, I'm still alive, that I'm not, wounded, and I'm still alive, I'm a tiger. So, it was a great fight. It was something that I knew that I could do it. I knew that I had the ability to be the champion. succeeding and achieving that, it's the ultimate feeling, it was the ultimate goal. I mean, it was a dream come true.
You're the heavyweight champion of the world.
You know, and it really hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah, I would,
yeah. I mean, arriving at the airport, and I thought I was just going to come on in, get in the car.
Nope, not anymore.
On, but,
all that's different.
Right.
You're the champ now.
Right, and it's like, I wonder why all these people are around me, and I'm the heavyweight champion.
Yeah, there you go.
That was big fun. I really enjoyed it, you know. Going that little circuit, that was nice. Had a good time meeting Johnny, David Letterman, Brian Allen, you know. It was big fun.
What wasn't fun for the newly crowned champ were the court battles over his promotional rights with Don King.
He gave me a hard time, that's for sure. He gave me a hard time. He fought. But that was something that I wasn't used to. I was a new arena, you know, the courts. Never been in there before.
We settled it. There's no winner. There's been a resolution of our differences. Let's leave it at that. That's a good way of putting it. We're very happy with the outcome, and I think Don King is too.
Both people got what they wanted. They didn't get the total victory, but, you know, it was evenly divided. Like I said earlier, we got what we wanted.
Free to pursue boxing's biggest payday ever, the champion went to work, supported by embattled manager John Johnson, trainers John Russell and J.D. McCauley, the architects of the Tyson upset, childhood friend and confidant Rodney Rogers, and the man who started it all, his father, Bill.
Now it's a challenge of retaining it, you know, hearing those words over the PA system, you know, and still the heavyweight champion of the world, you know, James Buster Douglas. That's a goal now.
The champ, James Buster Douglas, making final preparations in his dressing room. Douglas finds himself in a much different position these days. Now he is the hunted rather than the hunter. It's got to be a whole new mindset. Let's go to Mike Leonard now, who is stationed in a spot most fight fans never get to see. Mike?
Steve, this is how it looks behind the arena. Not very impressive. How it feels, though, is another story. From these rather unpretentious portable dressing rooms, each fighter will embark on what has to be the scariest walk in all of sports. Surrounded by their cornermen and a few close friends, Buster Douglas and Evander Holyfield head down this narrow path running parallel to the stadium. We notice the stark white barricades, the TV cables running along the ground. They, no doubt, will be oblivious to all of that. Then, with hearts pounding and minds racing, they walk to a point where they can see the stands open up. This is when the spotlight hits their eyes, when the theme music begins to play, and when the real terror sets in. Screaming fans, leaning over the railings above, start a thunderous roar that crashes outward like a tidal wave of noise as the boxers finally enter the arena. In baseball, there is the refuge of the dugout. In football and basketball, there are halftime retreats to the locker room. In boxing, however, once a man climbs into that ring, once his friends and handlers have left his side, there is no escape, Steve, until the brutal end.
Thank you, Mike. We are just moments away from the World Heavyweight Championship fight. And with that, let's take a look at the tail of the tape and break it all down numerically. At 30, James Buster Douglas is 2 years older than Evander Holyfield, who turned 28 on October 19th. Douglas, a one-time high school and college basketball player, at 6'4", an inch and a half taller than Holyfield. But here it is, the most glaring disparity. Douglas weighed in yesterday at a hefty 246 pounds. Holyfield, a streamlined 208, a 38-pound weight differential, and a big 5.5-inch reach advantage for Douglas. To the rules, a 10-point must system. 3 judges will score the fight. No standing 8 count. No 3 knockdown rule. A fighter can be saved by the bell only in the last round, and only the referee can stop the fight, although the ringside physician can make suggestions.
And Al, as with any big fight, the fighters have to cope with their share of distractions. In terms of Evander Holyfield, he had to deal with the split of his longtime manager, Ken Sanders, following the Seamus McDonough fight. He has the possibility of a divorce hanging over his head. Yet through it all, he has seemingly remained totally unruffled.
Yeah, and it looks that way. He is the kind of a boxer who is so focused. Normally, you would expect him to deal with those problems. Certainly the biggest of those, the situation involving his wife, I think. Most times, boxers are able to focus on matches. We remember Tommy Hearns, just before he fought Sugar Ray Leonard this last time, his brother was arrested for murder. He got through that for a fine performance. And even Buster Douglas, before his fight against Mike Tyson, his mother passed away. He was able to put that out of his mind or use it as extra motivation to beat Mike Tyson. Not a difficult task when you're a boxer who is focused on the event. For Buster Douglas, his distractions come in the form of his father coming back to his training sessions here in Las Vegas, his manager, John Johnson, estranged from him, really, even though he's part of the scene, and a lot of tension, an undercurrent, I think, of tension there. And there's also the question for Douglas of training differently for this. When he prepared for Mike Tyson, Steve, he was doing it in anonymity. This time, the glare of the public has been there to see everything.
So, Al, what do you think will happen tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, I see this fight dividing into two parts. Early on, I think, especially at 246 pounds, Buster Douglas is going to go right after Evander Holyfield, thinking it's in his best interest to get a knockout. If he doesn't do it, then Evander Holyfield will own from round 6 on, and he will dominate to win by a TKO late or a decision.
So there you have it. As we get closer and closer to the moment of truth, the Mirage Arena fans ready themselves for what they hope will be a night to remember. Douglas versus Holyfield for the undisputed world heavyweight title.
It's been a hard road. Nothing was given to me. You know, that's the way I wanted it. You know, and I wanted to earn everything. You appreciate it more.
You know, it won't be a match.
He's going to come and try to, you know, take it away. So it won't be.
And here comes the challenger, undefeated Evander Holyfield, that same stone-faced, poker-faced look before every fight, totally focused. The music is spinning. MC Hammer's We Pray. Holyfield told us yesterday he prays all the time. Maybe just a little harder tonight. He's been a very patient man, waiting for this moment for a long time. The so-called late punch at the '84 Olympics, which denied him the gold, and then last year coming so close to a huge fight, monstrous payday with Mike Tyson, only to watch as a man named Buster Douglas snatched it away. But he kept waiting quietly and in dignified fashion. While he was waiting, he was winning. But despite his record, 24-0 with 20 knockouts, many are still not convinced, feeling that he's a blown-up cruiserweight, not a true heavyweight, even though he's 6-0 as a heavyweight, all by knockout. Led by the ubiquitous Lou Duva, Evander Holyfield, with some final high fives, makes it to the ring. Gets the greeting from the crowd. He's a lot like his opponent tonight in that both are humble, genuine, very religious, and true sportsmen. Holyfield says he loves to fight, but he's not in love with being a celebrity. As Charles P. Pierce wrote in the National, if Evander Holyfield becomes heavyweight champ, he would own the title. The title wouldn't own him. And here comes the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, James Buster Douglas. Led by John Russell, his trainer, Douglas looking to prove that his electrifying victory over Mike Tyson was no fluke. It was one of the biggest upsets in sports history, defending the title for the first time. Should he not succeed, he may never have this chance again. And despite his 246 pounds, he says he feels mentally and physically better going into this fight than he did going into the Mike Tyson fight. Douglas also says tonight he'll try to counter Holyfield's pressure with his quickness. He also has that stinging jab, a polished uppercut. The superior size and big reach advantage, major factors. But one thing that was seriously questioned after Douglas fought Tony Tucker in 1987, his heart. Away from the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship, James Buster Douglas looking to defend his crown against #1 rated contender Evander Holyfield. Let's go to ring announcer Robert Folk.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fabulous Mirage. This is the main event of the evening. 12 rounds for the undisputed Heavyweight Championship of the world. The judges for tonight's match are Dave Moretti, Jerry Roth, and Chuck Giampa. The referee for tonight's match is Mills Lane. Ladies and gentlemen, almost a year ago, he opened up the stadium. And now he's back as the master of ceremonies and your host. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Sugar Ray Leonard.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing in the red corner, wearing red trunks with black trim, weighing in at 208 pounds from Atlanta, Georgia, with an undefeated record of 24-0 with 20 knockouts. The #1 ranked heavyweight contender of the world, ladies and gentlemen, Evander Real Deal Holyfield. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing in the blue corner, wearing white trunks, weighing in at 246 pounds, from Columbus, Ohio, with a record of 30 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw, with 20 knockouts. The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, James Buster Douglas.
You want to bring the mic over or not? You want to come or not? All right, here we go. Now, we've already been through the instructions one time in the dressing room. This is for the big championship of the world. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions from the challenger or his chief second? Any questions from the champion or his chief second? Let's get it on. Here we go.
So up the final instructions from veteran referee Mills Lane and his familiar "Let's get it on." Evander Holyfield is looking to take the heavyweight championship away from James Buster Douglas. Round 1 scheduled for 12. The champion, Douglas in the white trunks. Holyfield, the challenger and #1 heavyweight contender, wearing the red trunks with the black trim. And now right off the bat, the key could be pace. Holyfield will try to dictate the pace, stay busy, swarm, and if Holyfield can get by Douglas's
riveting rights through the early to mid rounds, it could be a telling sign. Then conditioning could take over.
Well, I think in these early rounds, what we want to look for is the battle of the jabs. Douglas has a terrific jab, but see Holyfield, he wants to establish his jab, and that will make Douglas's jab less effective. So that's a key in this first round.
Douglas, much bigger, 38 pounds heavier, 5.5-inch reach advantage. Will try to keep Holyfield on the outside so he can work his jab, left hook, and right uppercut, which was so useful and effective against Mike Tyson. He'll try to keep Holyfield from getting inside where he is so effective with those short, crisp, hard punches. And Holyfield has great hand speed, tries to wear down his opponents with accumulation of punches. Douglas tends to throw fewer punches, but he is very accurate. Holyfield is the busier of the two.
Holyfield putting better combinations together so far in this first round. He seems much looser to me. And you see how he always finishes his combination off with a hook. That's something he doesn't feel Douglas does. And there is that hook after a two-punch combination for Holyfield.
Holyfield tends to get hit often, but says people think he gets hit harder than he actually does. He told us the only time he was hurt or stunned was against White Kawi in the first meeting and against Carlos De Leon.
There's a counter right hand by Douglas, a key weapon for him. He's trying to find the range. Buster is looking to find the range with the right hand. That's why he's pawing with the jab. Whereas Holyfield's trying to find the range for that left hook.
Holyfield respects Douglas's skills, not overconscious of his size, and is not getting sucked in by Buster's weight problems. But he does question Douglas's intestinal fortitude, which was really illustrated against Tucker in '87.
One of the important things for Holyfield here is he's using the jab a lot, Steve. Can't let it languish out there because Douglas has such a quick right hand.
So a feeling out process here in round one. And with regard to Buster's stomach, Holyfield's co-trainer Lou Duva said, "I hope there is some food left in the hotel after the fight." Little boxing humor there, ladies and gentlemen.
More Buster Douglas tummy jokes than anything. Big right by Holyfield. Not a huge punch, but you can see he's finding the range with that punch as well as the jab. So this first round, what Holyfield wanted very much.
Evander Holyfield dictating the tempo out of the gate. Final seconds, round one.
Great three-punch combination by Holyfield.
Man, you boxing beautiful out there. Keep it at the right tempo. See, don't get in the fight with him. Just boxing, you understand? Just keep him thinking that you're going to raise hell, see? But just keep that left jab going and your combinations, you understand? Keep him on outside. You don't have to go inside yet, right? Because you got plenty of time. Just keep him on outside and keep pot shotting him. I don't want that weight to be laying on you, right? Now you're doing a hell of a good job, right? Now that's operating like a champ. That's just be very, very, very alert.
Work your jab a little more and put a little more heat on it, all right? A little more snap on it, James.
Breathe easy, baby. Breathe easy. Step forward.
All right.
Breathe easy. Relax. Get the flow, Buster. Get the flow.
We head into the second round. They were extremely pleased over in the Evander Holyfield corner.
And you could hear what Georgie Benton was saying. Don't slug with him yet. Keep boxing with him. And also don't get inside because they don't want Douglas laying on him. This is, you see it right there, and that's what I said in the first round. Whoever wins the battle of the jab early is almost sure to win this fight unless Douglas lands one of those super right hands.
And Al, in most cases, when there were big weight disparities in heavyweight championship fights, the smaller fighter has won. And Evander Holyfield hopes that history repeats.
There have only been 5 men who won the heavyweight title over 230 pounds, which is really an astonishing statistic when you think about it.
Of course, Primo Carnera, 270 in 1934.
He was a lineman.
Amazing. Douglas at 246, Holyfield 208. Action in round 2. Both flicking the jab.
They want a very methodical effort from Holyfield, and that's precisely what he's giving them so far. And he has negated Buster's jab at this point. That doesn't mean he will for the rest of the fight, but right now, the Douglas jab is not effective. And there's why, because he's got to worry about Holyfield's own jab.
Co-trainer John Russell of Buster Douglas exhorting Douglas on to give more heat, more snap. Holding and hitting by Buster Douglas, and Mills Lane is right on the scene.
And you saw Douglas as Lane admonishes him for holding, using the uppercut. Both these boxers have a terrific uppercut, and that might be the wild card in this fight, but it's only effective from the inside.
And a heavy left hook there by Evander Holyfield. And a right. That snapped Douglas back.
I think some would be surprised that Holyfield has been hit so little in the first round and a half of this bout.
He's not used to that.
He is not, yeah, that's right. It may screw his game plan up. He is not the quickest starter in boxing. And of course, we also know that his defense has suffered some in the past. But I'll tell you what, I think in his corner, they're thrilled with this kind of methodical effort.
Sometimes Holyfield actually needs to get hit to get the juices flowing.
To really get into a brawl, but I'm not sure at this point they want that in his corner. They want something like this, because they know if this fight gets into 6 or 7, they think their man owns it.
Holyfield does have a monstrous right. Final 20 seconds, round 2. Again, the holding and hitting. Douglas holding with the left, chopping away with the right.
Come on.
Will Mills Lane start taking a point away for the holding by Douglas? He's warned him twice now.
Lane, an authoritative figure. He's a district attorney in Reno.
You might arrest him.
That's better, James. You're starting to get loose now, okay? Come on.
You're loosening up.
Put your hands up now. A little more combinations, all right? You got to stay on the ground. You are not on the ground. Get your butt in the ground. Get out. Right here. One more time.
The 3 punches. Jab, right hand, stick off. Right there. Right there. You got to put 3 and 4 punches. You know what I mean? There you go. And
all right.
You feel yourself, champ. You got to feel yourself. Off the gut. Every time you hit him in the belly, he's pulling up. He's pulling up. Concentrate, just moving. Go to that belly. Work with belly. You hit him with the right hand, come back with the left hook right into the belly.
Don't stand still too long. Don't stay in one spot too long.
Let's go, champ.
Round 3, it's scheduled for 12. The World Heavyweight Championship. Buster Douglas in the white trunks. Evander Holyfield in the red with the black trim. And so far, it has been mostly Evander Holyfield.
Holyfield told us the other day that if Douglas holds him like he's trying to, he is not going to exert a lot of energy early in the fight trying to get away from him. He'll let the referee do that. Later on in the bout, he said he'll try and really bull Douglas around when he thinks Douglas is coming. It was the first decent right hand from Douglas, but not too much damage.
Douglas perhaps beginning to get loose now. They wanted him to throw more combinations between rounds 2 and 3 from his corner. Meanwhile, Lou Duva was urging Holyfield on to go to the belly.
And there is the left hook underneath. Holyfield's a wonderful body puncher, and that's part of the reason he became cruiserweight champion and has moved ahead so well in the heavyweight ranks.
What a shot by Evander Holyfield. It was a twisting right, and down went Douglas. There's a new heavyweight champion of the world, and his name is Evander Holyfield.
And how much more unlikely could this scenario be? Not Douglas winning early, not Holyfield throwing a left hand. It is, instead of Douglas's right, it's Holyfield's right that creates a one-punch knockout. I don't think anyone would have expected this scenario to come about.
It ends in round 3. Douglas still down. Holyfield being hugged and congratulated. Lou Duva in the center of things. Evander Holyfield is the new heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, I think as we look at Buster Douglas and certainly hope that he will be okay, he didn't have even a chance of getting up. That overhand right just devastated him, and it came, by the way, after Lou Duva urged Holyfield to go to the body, which brought that left hand down from Douglas, and so the overhand right was there for Holyfield. take a look back at the one punch that changes the course of heavyweight history, at least momentarily. Good straight right hand by Holyfield, a counter right hand, no less. Not the kind of a punch that we would expect him to knock Buster Douglas out with. But remember, in that first and second round, he was finding the range for this right. You'll see a lazy left jab by Buster Douglas. Then we'll see another, the uppercut from way back. Well, the primary rule in boxing is you never throw an uppercut from far back. We've seen so many boxers get knocked down from it. And remember, I said earlier, as we look at it again, that Douglas wanted to land the uppercut. That's not the way to throw it. This fight ended because Buster Douglas made a very basic tactical mistake.
Solid flush on the face from overhead. Here comes that monstrous right.
That is as basic a mistake as you can make in boxing, and Buster Douglas did it. I remember other fights, Donald Curry, who'd never been knocked out, trying an uppercut against Young Suk Wang, of all people, and getting knocked flat on his back. In this case, it's a very important blow because it separates this man from his heavyweight title.
And check out the eyes.
No way Buster Douglas was getting up from this.
Mills Lane counting him out. And let's get the official announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official time, 1 minute and 10 seconds of the third round. And the new undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Real Deal Holyfield.
Evander Holyfield dictating the pace from the very outset and ended it at 110 of the third round. And a stunned Buster Douglas.
Well, you know what? It was almost a non-performance by him.
Hey, Terry.
Another look at the final punishing blow by Evander Holyfield. Keep your eye on the right hand of the real deal, Evander Holyfield. Buster Douglas never saw it coming. A thunderous shot by Evander Holyfield, and that was his proclamation that not only is he a true heavyweight, he is truly the new heavyweight champion of the world. From another angle, from up above, any way you look at it, Buster Douglas hitting the canvas. And he never got up. Standing by with the new heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield, is our Al Bernstein up in the ring. Al?
Well, thank you, Steve. Evander, I guess this does mean you're a heavyweight, huh?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Christ for the victory. Thank Christ for to have patience and be able to go in and be able to capitalize on the opportunity, because he do said, being patient, you will be awarded.
Well, you were patient and you were awarded. You told us that you're a thinking man's fighter, and you proved it tonight. You boxed well for 2 rounds, and then you took advantage of what was a big mistake of his.
Well, yes, I did. I went out there, and I anticipated him pumping the jab, and I was out there to prove that I did have a better jab. I could hit him with the jab I wanted to, and he felt that I would be reckless, and I just took my time, did what my corner asked me to do, and of course, like George said, he throws that uppercut, which a lot of time you have to be perfectly still, and I was waiting, and he threw it in the wrong position. I was able to capitalize on it.
He sure did, and let's take a look at it, and you can comment on how he threw it from so far back, and you countered beautifully. Here it comes.
Well, actually, I was jabbing, I was giving my distance, and I carried my right hand in case he tried to come over it, and there he is. He threw that uppercut, and I stepped back, got out of range of him, maybe step in with a short right hand.
Well, that is a clinic on how to counter an uppercut that's thrown from too far out. Evander, you're now heavyweight champion of the world. Undisputed, as Lou Duva so aptly points out. What's next for you?
Well, actually, I just thank God that I got through that, and I'm just going to go back and enjoy it and take what the Lord has given me and be able to go out and witness to the kids that, to have that positive attitude, because a lot of people felt that I couldn't do it because I was a small man. So with this will, display to the kids that, if you work hard, train hard, and work at anything, you can be successful.
And you were as successful as you could be tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And now let's go to Mike Leonard, who is in the dressing room of the former champion.
Buster, you seemed a little tentative at the beginning. Were you?
Well, it just took me time to get off, to get into the groove. He just, he was ready. He came out and,
he did his job. I commend Evander. Fought a tremendous fight. You know, you live by the sword and you die by the sword.
Sometimes a fighter can see trouble before it happens. They make a move and then leave themselves vulnerable. Did you see anything like that before you got hit?
No, I didn't see anything such as that happening. It was a thing of, you know, I just was out of position and was trying to hit him with a shot, and I just overextended myself, and he caught me with a good shot, and it you know, brought me down.
You were down for quite a long time. There was some concern about an injury.
Oh, it's fine. It was just, I guess it's make sure everything is all right before you get up, you know. Doctor made sure.
And Evander Holyfield is a good fighter?
He's a great fighter. You know, he's a tremendous fighter. That's why I wanted to put my words against his. You know, it was an opportunity for me to, you know, fight a great fighter, and I did. And, you know.
This is always the worst time to ask about a future, but do you think about that now?
No.
Just going back home?
Yeah, just regroup and think about things.
Okay, Buster. Thank you very much. Steve?
All right, Mike, we just saw one champion get unseated, but early 1991 and another big fight coming up here on Showtime. Sugar Ray Leonard will try to unseat WBC super welterweight champion Terry Norris, and we've got both of them with us right now. And Sugar Ray, this is a very formidable opponent. A lot of people are saying that you're taking a major risk in fighting Terry Norris. What do you say to that?
Well, I'm glad to hear that. As a matter of fact, this young man here would push me to my limits because he's younger, he's faster. I just had the experience, so what I have to do, I have to nullify his speed and try to break him down. But Terry Norris proved that he wanted to be champion. You know, he had one mistake. He came back and just totally annihilated John the Beast Mugabe. So I look forward to this young man challenging me.
Terry, what do you think about going up against a legend in boxing?
Well, I'm thrilled to be fighting Leonard. I respect the man, you know, for what he's done for boxing. I'm gonna do my best to, you know, do what I've been doing, come out the victor. Keep your hands down.
What's your biggest concern against a guy like Leonard?
Leonard, basically his experience. You know, he's been in the ring with all the best. You know, and I'm coming up. I think I got the skills to beat Leonard.
What's tougher, getting hit in the head by Tommy Hearns or standing and speaking in front of 16,000 fans here as the ring announcer?
I'd rather be fighting Terry than to get up there and try to memorize the script. As a matter of fact, you know, it's experience for me, but I quit. I quit that job.
Speaking of Tommy Hearns, there's a hot rumor going around that his former longtime manager trainer, Emmanuel Stewart, might very well be in Sugar Ray Leonard's corner next fight. Any validity to that?
Well, I won't discount it. I won't dismiss it, rather. You know, Emmanuel and I, we go way back, and there's a great possibility.
What would happen, how about this scenario, if you fought Hearns again? What would that create for Emmanuel Stewart? That would put him in a strange position.
Well, as usual, that would not, as far as I'm concerned, that isn't totally relevant because right now I'm going to be focused on one particular man. That's Terry Norris.
All right, we'll see that early 1991 on Showtime. Sugar Ray Leonard against Terry Norris. Good luck to you both, fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's turn back to my partner, Al Bernstein, and how about summing things up tonight? A stunner.
Well, it was a stunner, and I'm afraid from the Buster Douglas standpoint, he was a no-show tonight. The weight was 246. Questions about how hard he had trained, and I'm afraid he answered those questions. He was never in this fight, and he made a basic boxer's mistake, got hit with a big right hand, and when you're not in great condition, Steve, those are the kind of right hands that knock you out. So I'm not taking away from Evander Holyfield's performance. He was very precise in what he did tonight, and I'll tell you what, he not only proved he's a real heavyweight, he proved he can box when the occasion calls for it.
Where does Holyfield go from here, Al?
Well, he would want to go to see George Foreman, obviously, and the public would like that match. It's an intriguing matchup, and what we saw tonight, in my mind, makes people think, some of the boxing people probably think that Holyfield might even do better against Foreman than some thought, because he showed those boxing skills, and that's what you need to do against a big man like Foreman, hit him with a lot of punches quickly.
What about the controversy with all of the sanctioning bodies, all the complications? Where does, for example, a Don King figure into all of this?
Well, Don King, of course, is the gentleman that released on his stationery the press release that said that all three governing bodies were going to make the winner fight Mike Tyson. Bob Lee of the IBF immediately repudiated that. So I think what's going to happen is the three different organizations will have to sort this out. There's no reason in my mind why they should. In my opinion, Evander Holyfield is champion, and he certainly should not have a mandatory defense right away. And if he wants to go fight George Foreman, he ought to be allowed to do it.
Well, that about wraps things up, Al. It was great working with you, and once again, The new heavyweight champion of the world is Evander Real Deal Holyfield with a third-round knockout over James Buster Douglas. That'll do it from the Mirage Hotel and Casino here in Las Vegas, Nevada. For Al Bernstein, our entire crew, this is Steve Albert saying so long, everybody.